A curious aspect of the four beasts in John's vision is the fact that they do not rest day and night in their praise of God. Of course, these are figurative beasts and need no rest as do terrestrial beasts. Yet, there are really no idle statements in John's apocalypse. This aspect of the beasts has meaning and is derived from the polar configuration, as are all images in the vision given to the apostle. The planetary archetypes explain why it wasn't only John's four beasts who did not rest. Later in his vision, the apostle records that those who worship the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns shall not have rest day or night from their torment. Appropriately, this never-ending torment of the wicked is performed in the presence of the holy angels, which includes the 4 beasts before the throne and the Lamb. Since the torment continues night and day, so does the presence of the 4 beasts, who have no rest as they stand vigil over the scene. But how is this symbol to be explained? Before we can explain the symbolic absence of rest for the 4 beasts, we must first explain the significance of rest with respect to the polar configuration, and, in particular, the planet Saturn. One of the inescapable physical realities of the polar configuration, when the planets Saturn, Venus, and Mars were aligned along Earth's axis, was that they appeared stationary, fixed at Earth's northern pole. To the earthbound observer, they just sat there. Of course, they were seen to rotate, but they remained immobile in every other respect. This state of motionlessness was described by ancient mankind as resting. Speaking of the one supreme power of heaven at the very beginning, the Hindu Upanishads describe him as at rest, not moving at all. Aristotle called this power or planet the unmoved mover. Hipparchus observed that there is one star that remains constantly at the pivot of the cosmos. This supreme power of heaven was a star, the planet Saturn. Throughout the ancient world, the planet Saturn was the motionless star and the resting god. For example, the Phoenician El, identified explicitly with the planet Saturn, was said to rest in flight. The supreme god of the Hindu pantheon, Vishnu, an avatar of the ring planet, stood or sat motionless in his resting place. Of course, Saturn was not the only resting star. Since Venus and Mars were also in the same polar alignment, they did not move either, and were said to be motionless and at rest. Ra, an Egyptian incarnation of Mars, rested on his high place, referring to the planet's position atop the axis mundi. The so-called sunboat represents the crescent of Saturn. The 3 Egyptian gods in this detail from a coffin lid, the first 2 representing the female deity Venus and the third Atum representing Saturn, are shown in the typical seated or resting position. At the end of the creation, God rested on the 7th day and hallowed it as a day of rest. The sanctification or observance of the 7th day as a holy day was later codified in the Law of Moses. From the point of view of both the Genesis and Exodus accounts, The sanctification of the seventh day was a commemoration of God resting after the creation of heaven and earth. But who or what was the God that rested on the seventh day? According to all accounts, it was the planet god Saturn. The early church father, St. Augustine, acknowledged the widespread belief that the ancient Jews celebrated the Sabbath in honor of the planet, even though he was trying to refute the idea. The Roman senator and historian Tacitus reports that some honored the seventh day as a day of rest out of respect for Saturn. They borrowed the practice, according to the senator, from the Jews. There is also first-hand evidence to support the connection between the planet and the Sabbath day. It is a well-established fact that the Jews themselves called Saturn by the name Shabtai, which means the Sabbath star. The Bible itself is explicit on the matter. The God that rested at the end of creation is, in the Hebrew, Elohim. As we have stated in previous episodes, Elohim is merely the plural of El, the Semitic name of the planet Saturn. It was also Elohim who instituted the Sabbath. The Jews were not the only ancient nation to have a sacred festival of rest in honor of the planet god Saturn. During their Festival of the Beard, held in conjunction with the summer solstice in December, the ancient inhabitants of Peru refrained from work out of respect for the bearded one, the sun. The Incan celebration was a form of the ancient Sabbath adapted to today's planetary state of affairs after the dissolution of the polar configuration. Today's sun replaced the ancient sun, the planet Saturn, as the resting star. Elsewhere in the ancient world, festivals dedicated to the Saturnian god were conducted at the winter solstice, again in December, and included freedom from work. The Greek Chronia and Roman Saturnalia are well-known examples of these Sabbath-like festivals. During the Saturnalia, all forms of work were suspended.